Assalamualaikum doktor.
Assalamualaikum, apa khabar?
Baik.
Assalamualaikum doktor.
Ya. Link balik semua. Okay. Berapa orang dah? 14. Kita tengok.
Assalamualaikum Prof.
Khabar? Jalan.
Baik Prof.
Sihat kan? Hafiz dah ada.
Sihat.
Okey. Ini
Selamat petang.
grup Hafiz ya, Rosnida dengan Liana. Liana ada. Rosnida. Okey, Rosnida yang pertama sekali dekat skrin. Awal datang ke? Awal masuk?
Ada.
Ya, ke first kali masuk.
Kurangkan debaran.
Ya, takkanlah berdebar.
Takut masuk kelas OD.
Pula ada. Janganlah. Kita kat sini kan santai je. Okay, Yixon is here. Ismail, Kong is also here. Waiting for the China people. Kong, are you okay?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Assalamualaikum. Okay, Ismail is also here. Got 17. Altogether, we got about 24, 25. Oh, the other thing is that don't forget to go to Putra Blast and sign in your attendance. So do it after class or during now, it doesn't matter. Just
Yang sebelum tu tak sempat macam ni Prof?
Huh?
Yang before yang sebelum ni tak sempat.
Ada saya semua takat gambar semua ada dah. Yang ni sekarang ni kita masukkan dalam apa ni? Go into Putra Blast.
Putra Blast.
Okay, so just go to Putra Blast and indicate your attendance.
Okay.
Okay doktor.
Okay doktor.
I've kept all the records of your attendance, so don't worry. Anyway, I'm not a big stickler to attendance. I don't mind people who don't come to class because it's all right. We are all here to learn, and I don't think I have any problems with attendance. So, Rosnida, are you ready? Are you going to be the first presenter?
Liana, Liana Ramli. Yes.
Okay. Liana is warming up.
No, because I think my connection is not so good, so I'm changing to my phone. Can you wait for a minute?
You're changing to your phone?
Yeah, because I keep on disconnected.
All right. It's a technical glitch.
Yeah.
And then, so Liana is going to be presenting first, right?
Yes, I think I have. Yes, because I can. I think I have to use my phone because I think the Wi-Fi it's not stable.
The share.
Can Hafiz share the slides?
Yeah.
Please? Sorry, Dr. Kidin. I was in since 5:30, but suddenly at 6, the line is bad.
It's one of those things, I suppose. So 5:30.
Yeah.
Well, you seem to be very excited today.
No, we were very scared.
It's good.
But it happened anyway.
Okay, then I think we are ready.
So can I start?
Yes, take it off. Take off.
All right. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to Dr. Kidin and my fellow friends. So today my group will be presenting on the topic organization development process. So before that, let me introduce my team member, Puan Rosnida binti Muhammad Razi. Say hi, Puan. And I have Encik Muhammad Hafiz
Hi.
bin Muhammad Safi. All right. So next slide, please. Organization changes refers to the action in which a company or a business alter a major components of its organization, such as its culture, the underlying technologies or infrastructure used to operate its internal process. The OD process is an action research model designed to understand problems, set measurable goals, implement changes, and analyze results. So the organization development process take advantage of circular steps or set of steps that can be repeated in order to make changes, test them out, and then adjust further until the desired result have been achieved. Next. There are five steps of organization development process. The first one is anticipate need for change, develop the relationship, diagnostic process, action plan, strategies and technique, and the last one is self-renewal, monitoring and stabilize. So we go to the first step first. Organization development process, step 1, anticipate need for change. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right. So for the first step, so change is an effort to improve an organization in some way. It could take in the form of new processes, new procedures, upgrading to new system, or changes to the roles and responsibility. So who anticipate the changes? So leaders must anticipate the change. So like we've been told by last week presentation, when the I forgot the name, but when they want to do changes, they have to present the idea to the leaders first, because leader must initiate it. So leader must anticipate the changes actually, and they have to act to position the organization to thrive in the new environment. So anticipating change is concerned with the prediction what is to occur in the environment. Another method is to study the trend in the similar industry to see what interference that can be made. Next one. So there are two types of organization environment. I believe that we listen to this type quite a lot of time. Doctor also been mentioning, and a lot of group also been mentioning about it. So there are two types of OD, organization development, internal and external. In internal, the one that make changes, it's include employee structure, culture, and politics. Can we go to next slide, please? Oh, Hafiz, I think it's not the slide, the example slides. You have that one? Bukan slide yang ni, the other slides. You kena tutup kot, buka yang lain.
Stop sharing dulu.
So sorry guys.
Okay. Or you may want to finish this first and revisit that later.
Okay, so I explain about Lewin change model first. But Lewin change model also, I think
Okay.
it's
Do what is good.
again. Hafiz okay tak Hafiz? Yang ada slide NIH tu.
Is it about the transformation, housing loan? No.
NIH, National Institutes of
NIH,
Health.
Okay.
Hafiz, latest version at WhatsApp group. Tidak, Hafiz?
This one.
Alright.
Yes. Alright. Atas lagi Porus. NIH punya. Atas lagi satu. Okay. Alright. Thank you.
Next,
Next one. Alright. So sorry. Okay, I would like to share the restructuring of National Institutes of Health Malaysia. So the restructuring of National Institute of Health Malaysia started in 2016. Whereby the original idea why they have to restructure is because they are moving into the bigger place in Setia Alam. So when we get the tasks, we look into each institutes. So we have 6 institutes under Ministry of Health. We have IMR, Institutes of Medical Research. We have ICR, Institute for Clinical Research. We have IKU, Institute for Public Health. IHSR, Institute for Health System Research. IHM, Institute for Health Management, and IPTK, Institute for Health Behavior Research. So these 4 institutes is under MH, but they are in separate, they're all in separate entity. So when we did some research on each institute, we found that they have a similarity. For example, they have their own unit biostat. They have their own financial, procurement, and management. So when they want to move to a new building, we propose a restructuring, means new structure for them. What we did was we take out all the department with a similar task, biostatistic, for example, or financial, and we put under one side. So these changes occur because first, I believe it's internal changes because of the movement, because of a culture, the change of the structure itself. So the next one, Parus. This is the after negotiating and debate and everything, this is the structure that been agreed by both party, by Sumber Manusia, by National Institute of Health, and also JPA. Actually, from JPA is the organization who finalized and who approved the structure. So this is the structure that agreed upon. So since 2016, the restructuring finally ended last year to 2020. So it's a real struggling because a lot of resistance to change. Yeah. So we come up with this new structure whereby all institutes will be focusing just doing research, mainly research. So as you can see, they have Pejabat Pengurus NIH, whereby in Pejabat Pengurus NIH, they will be handling biostats, grant and everything, and Pendaftar NIH will be doing all the management, the procurement, the human resource, the finance, yeah, and then all the institute will be doing institutes. They won't be doing other things, other management things. So this is one of the example that I would like to share with you guys. So the next one is external type of change, which will be involving politics, economic, social, technology, legal, environment, and nature. So next, Maros. So I believe everyone knows about this. You know, KPM and KPT. KPM is Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia or Ministry of Education, and Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi, Ministry of Higher Education. So we know that a little background. Ministry of Higher Education was formed on 27 March 2004, and then it merged back into the Ministry of Education on 14 May 2013. But then they reformed back on 28 July 2015. So in 2018 general election, the ministry became a higher education division under MOA. And the latest one, Ministry of Higher Education, was created again officially following the Federal Cabinet reshuffles on 9 March 2020. So this structure change is affected by politics. Yeah. So yeah, so the next one is next, Paris. So economic. As we know, pandemic is affecting all business, and this is one of the example where commercial airlines offer a cargo flight. So local passenger airlines are carrying cargo now instead of people, as national's aviation industry being affected by the COVID-19 crisis and has seen a steep drop in number of passengers traveling. So the Bar Malaysia said, rather than leave the aircraft grounded without generating revenue, so local airlines will pick up cargoes, including light cargo, which could be carried into the cabin. So currently, 105 airlines across the globe we're either doing P2C, they call it passenger to cargo flights, or CIC, cargo in cabin flights. So in early May, Malaysia Airlines used an Airbus A380 to transport 36 tons of cargo between KL and London. A total of 400 P2C flights were operated between March and May. So this trend of cargo transportation could also be an opportunity to expand in that sector for Malaysia Airlines. Maybe they can flourish in the market as the national carrier, and it's because they have experience in the aviation industry. Next one, social. So the social changes refer to a change in norms, change in organizations and more. So these social changes are powerful external factors which can affect the environment, which push organization change to make changes. So as you can see, Fashion Valley is in fashion industry, and they've been impacted also by COVID-19. So they built a new new policies is try before you buy. So what is this theory? It is a service where you can try an item before buying, and you place order online, and it can be delivered to the physical store that you choose. So you just add the item you want into the chart, and then you check out. They will, and then you can go to the physical store, and you can try it on. And if you like it, you can pay, or if you don't like it, then you can just return it. So why is it having this approach? Because we don't want to go out, but us women, we want to try things before you buy, because if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. So we have to, I think this approach, like if let's say if we go to the physical store, we will take time to browse all the clothes, because we want to find the perfect one, I guess. And then by having this, we just have to browse online, and then we put everything in our charts, and we go there, we just try it on. So I think it helps, and this is one of the new service that they offer during this pandemic. So the next one, first. So as for technology, we all agree technology is a powerful tools. It's a powerful factors which shapes changes. So organizations need to upgrade technologies in order to remain competitive in the market. So as you can see, this is the fashion industry and food beverage before and during MCO. For fashion industry, you can see that with implementations of the MCO, so restriction on foot traffic in malls and public spaces has affected many retailers, so including fashion industry. So subsequently, there is a 14% increase of brand converting their business online to adapt to this current trend of online shopping while we stay at home. Whereby for food and beverage, before the implementation of MCO, we can see that only 21% of the food and beverage business are available online. But within 30 days of MCO implementation, we can see that the business, because of the restrictions to only providing takeaway and delivery options, so the number of business that expanded their operation online doubled up to 46% in order to deal with this increased demand for food delivery service, food services. Yeah, next. Okay, Lewin's change model. So I think a lot of groups are presenting about this. So unfreezing, changing and refreezing. So we have to recognize the need for change, and we have to encourage the replacements of old behavior to a new behavior. And then we change by implementing, taking specific action and helping employees to learn new concept or point of view, and being a role model, a mentor, and expert in benchmarkings. And then we refreezing, where changes are reinforced and stabilized, and leader integrate the changes behavior or attitude into a normal way of doing things. Next one. According to Cotter and Schlesinger, there are 4 reasons that why certain people are resisting to change. I like it because during my restructuring process, a lot of people resist to change. It might be because of a particular self-interest, whereby some people are concerning with the implication of the changes to themselves and how these changes affect their own interests, rather than considering the effect of the successful of the business, for example. And sometimes also they don't want to change because they misunderstand. So that's why I think a lot of people always say communication, whatever it is, you have to communicate. Yes, because communicate can, without proper communication, it can lead to misunderstanding. So when you don't communicate, maybe they don't have enough information, so they resist to change. The next one is low tolerance to change, where certain peoples are very keen on security or stability in their work, and different assessment of the situation. Some employee disagree on the reasons for change, and maybe they have an advantage or disadvantage of the changes. To give example, during the restructuring of NIH, they have to move, because these 6 institutes is in different location. They're in KL, mainly in Kuala Lumpur. They are in KL, in Bangsa area, and they have to move to Siti Alam. Siti Alam is quite far. So a lot of people resist to change because they don't want to move, far lah. Okay, next. So how do we overcome this resistance to change? So according to Cotter and Schlesinger, there are 6 approaches that we can use. First one is education and communication. I think this one is the most important one, because when there is a lack of communications, or they don't get incorrect informations and analysis, so one of the best way to overcome resistance to change is to educate people, to educate them about the change effort. And then upfront communication and education helps them to see the logic and the change effort. So this can reduce the unfolded the incorrect rumors concerning the effect of change in the organization. Why do NIH change took us 5 years? One of it is because of the communication. Because during our restructuring, we only involve higher levels of employee. You know, we didn't go to, we didn't engage all, because we have to tackle the big one first. And then there's a lot of barrier because the communication didn't go along the way. So this one is really important. And then the next one is participations and involvement. So where the initiators do not have all the information they need to design the change, and where others have considerable power to resist. So when employees are involved in the change effort, they are more likely to buy into change rather than resist it. So what we do is we go to each institute, we go to all 6 institutes, we meet everyone, we listen, you know, we listen to their ideas, we take all consideration, we make them involved. To the extent that we go to each lab and understand all the process, to that extent. Yeah. The next one is facilitation and support, where people are resisting change due to adjustment problem. But manager can head off potential resistance by being supportive of employee during difficult times. So manager supports help employees to deal with fear and anxiety during the transition period. So what they did was, because they're aware that the location is actually at a disadvantage, but they need a big area, you know, for all institutes to be there. And then what they did was they have this big quarters. So they help, this actually motivates the employee to move to Setia Alam. You know, they facilitate, they ask the employee what's the problem. The next one is negotiations and agreement. So as someone or some group may lost out in a change, and where the individual or group has considerable power to resist, a manager can combat resistance by offering incentives to employee to resist change. Okay, and then the next one, manipulations and co-options, where other tactics will not work or too expensive. This approach suggests that an effective manipulation technique is to co-op and resistor. Co-op involves the patronizing gesture in bringing a person into a change management planning group for the sake of appearance rather than their substance contributions. During our restructuring, one of the biggest and oldest institutes, IMR, don't want to join in. They want to stand alone. So what we did was we engaged with them, just them, you know, tackle them first, make them, because they think they are the leading research in KKM. So we tackle them first, you know, we make sure that they want to join. That's why the restructuring takes time. You know, it takes about a year just to make sure that they are with us. All right, and then the last one is explicit and implicit questions, where speed is essential to be used only as a last resort. So manager can explicit and implicit force employee into accepting change. So use of force or intimidating to obtain compliance. So the next one. So who wants to change? Everyone wants to change, but when who wants to change? No one wants to change actually. So that's from me. So I'll pass to my colleague, Farusnida. Thank you.
Thank you, Rena.
Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Yana. Okay, now my turn to present stage 2 and stage 3 of the organization development process. All right. When we talk about the stage 2, is actually the relationship between practitioner and client. Who is practitioner and who is client? Practitioner is actually a person or employer or top management in a company or in a firm or organization that responsible for changing existing patterns to obtain more effective organization performance, while the other one is client. Client can be a person, can be a group of people, can be organization or or company that is being assisted. Actually, practitioners also referred, for me, also referred to as change agents actually. Practitioners are directly involved in organizational function where a change in a policy, for example, procedure, leadership, or even a business model. The main objective of the practitioner is to act as a liaison, what I can call is a liaison between a top management or upper level management to employees of the organization. Intermediate, a practitioner can be intermediate people. So it is actually the role of the practitioner to work between both parties, employer, top management, upper level management, and the employees at the bottom level, to ensure that the change is understood and put into the practice. So the stage 2 or step 2, I think, is one of the most important steps in organizational development change or the process of the changes. And actually, there are two types of practitioners. The first one is internal practitioner, and the other one is external. What is internal practitioner? Internal practitioner is a member of, as I said before, a member or employer can be top management of the company, who could be a top executive, for example, top management, or a member of human resource department of that company. This is what we call an internal practitioner. What are the pros? What are the pros or what are the advantages of the internal practitioners? Familiar with the knowledge and culture of the company, awareness of the strengths, consciousness of the strengths and also the disadvantages of the company, also have a personal interest in the organization. What are the disadvantages or cons? Internal practitioner may lack of specialized skill, or it is likely to embrace the organizational structure, likely to accept the organizational system, or may lack necessary power and authority. Okay, when we talk about the external practitioner is actually different from internal. I just would like to share with you, if you still remember, especially government officer, in the late 1990s, if I'm not mistaken, 1999, the government appointed MRCB as external practitioner to develop Hermes, if you still remember. MRCB is one of the example of external practitioner. So why the government hired or appointed MRCB? Because there was no internal expertise in the government at that time. So this is the example of external practitioner. The government hired the MRCB, one of the famous consultant, to develop the Hermes. So external practitioner also have advantages and disadvantages. Different, maybe the advantages, the external practitioners have different viewpoint, and also the external practitioner not dependent upon the organization, different view, and but the cons of disadvantages of the external practitioner, they actually usually they are unfamiliar with the organization, and maybe can arise a conflict between internal and external also. They're also unfamiliar with the culture, with the society, communication network, and also the system, the internal system of the company. All right, actually there are five styles of practitioners. The first one is stabilizer style. Second, cheerleader style. The third one is analyzer style. The fourth one is the persuader style. But today, we would like to stress on the last style of practitioner, which is the pathfinder style. What is pathfinder style? Pathfinder style is actually the most team-oriented and focused method that can be chosen by the organization to lead a team, keep everyone focused on the same target and issue. This is the best style among these 5 style of the practitioner. So most of the organization or company will use the Pathfinder style of practitioner to make a change in their company or their firm. So, all right. Pathfinder style usually focus on or relies on 6 methods of process. The communication, for example, communication, as I said before, the Pathfinder style or the practitioner by Pathfinder style act as a liaison, act as a median, or what we say as a middleman, and will share the benefits, will persuade the top management, will persuade the employees to change. This is the communication part. This is the important of the Pathfinder style that the internal or external practitioner must take into consideration, the communication. And the second one is focus on the member role in a group to make sure that the organization change will be more smoother, will be more easier. And also another one is about the group problem solving, group norms and growth, leadership and authority also. The practitioner, external or internal, play an important part in leadership or authority. And the last one is about intergroup cooperation. All right, I just want to share my experience, like Yana, about the relationship between practitioner and client relationship. Before 2017, Malaysian Medical Council, have you ever heard about MMC? MMC is actually responsible for issuing annual practicing certificate to all the doctors in Malaysia. Whether you are foreigner doctors or you are local doctors, if you want to work in Malaysia, you must have APC or annual practicing certificate. So after 2017, MMC or Malaysian Medical Council has become a federal statutory body. During this period or during this interim time, as a practitioner, bahagian sumber manusia or human resource division in Ministry of Health was responsible for engaging or for engage with the officer in MMC and the employees and the doctors, the employees and the officers, top management in MMC, who are mostly actually worried about their pension status, because now they are statutory body. Pension status, they are worried about their pension status, and they are worried about their career development that will be affected because the MMC became a statutory body. This is the role actually. This is the role of the practitioner or human resource development, the human resource managers in Ministry of Health to explain this regarding their future. So we as a practitioner need to explain detail about the policy and so on, so that they do not get upset. They didn't get upset. That's just for your information, and that for federal statutory body, the person status actually is not affected at all if they change or transform from fully federal body to the statutory body, because the Pension Act also covered the statutory body like UPM. So this is the example of MMC just now, how the importance of the roles and that internal and external practitioner must involve during the change of MMC. Actually, there was no external. We actually using the internal practitioner, which was a human resource division as our practitioner or human resource managers. All right, this is very crucial. It's very difficult time for us at that time to persuade them, because top management said everything you settle, and we didn't want to know anything, but they must choose an option to work in MMC. So this is the roles and the responsibility for us as human resource managers in Ministry of Health. So on the screen, the red flags or the problems in the practitioner and client relationship. So as I said just now, it's very difficult to communicate, to persuade them, because a lot of resistance to change among them. So the first one is about the level of commitment to change or resistance to change, degree of leverage or power to influence change, and also the clients. Sometimes clients also play an important using political influence and so on. So this is what we have to tackle about the change in the organization. All right. The third step or third stage is diagnostic process. We are not going to elaborate details because I think the group 8, if I'm not mistaken, will present the diagnostic process. But just want to share with you guys that what is diagnosis? Diagnosis actually the systematic approach to understand state of organization, specifies a nature of problem and cause. So is actually the this is actually the process of the changes. For example, the process involve the data gathering. We have the practitioner need to identify the problems area of the organization. For example, like Yana said before, we need to identify, to persuade what the areas, what the problems, what the obstacle to deal with the organization change. The most important thing here is about the communication from top to bottom. It's very weak actually. So the third one is interpretation. But for example, if we manage to get the data, we identify the problems, for example, but we fail to interpret it. We interpret it wrongly, all the effort will fuelate or will fail. So the interpretation part is one of the important in the diagnosis process. And the last one is about the potential action programs. All right, I cover this one, and this also. All right, this is the example. This is one of the example of the transformation. I just wanted to share one of the government agencies that involve in the organization change. I believe that most of you ever heard about the LPPSA. LPPSA, or formerly known as Bahagian Pinjaman Perumahan, BPP. LPPSA was formerly under actually BPP actually was under Treasury since 1970. BPP was established to provide housing loan facilities to the public sectors. So in 2013, Economic Council meeting agreed that BPP should become should incorporated as a new statutory body. So the cabinet meeting in November 2014 approved the proposal for BPP to be transformed into a statutory body with full financial autonomy. All right, this is quite different. This is not like MMC or NIH. This is financial autonomous, 100% financial autonomous, not depend on the government at all. So here LPPSA began its operation starting 1st January 2016. So here we would like to share with you the corporate video of LPPSA.
Is the sound on?
Sound on, Wara?
No sound.
There's no sound. Okay.
Sorry.
Tak ada sound pun.
Please, next.
I'm so sorry. Some of you didn't hear that.
Okay, we come back to our next stage, Prof. Gideon and everyone.
Okay.
Okay, after has been presented, like as presented by Prof. Shinda as stage 3, which the diagnostic phase lead to series of intervention, activities or program aim to resolving problem and increasing organization effectiveness. That's what stage 4 all about, which is namely as action plans, strategies, and technique. Next, Fairuz. Okay, what are the action plan and what refer to is about apply such organization development techniques as total quality management, job design, role analysis, goal setting, team building, and intergroup development to cause specified in the diagnosis phase. So bear in mind this crucial stage in organization change and development, which how to put all together in action. In this stage, stage 4, there are more time will spend on this fourth stage than any of other stage of OD program. For example, the implementation of MS ISO 9001-2015 in government sector, which is changing attitude in organization to adapt a new format as certificate through MS ISO is a complicated matters as they need to get off their comfort zone and all practices. But however, after the explanation of the importance of MSO and all matters that are standardized, they or client will receive a positive change. So next slide, Fairuz. So now we're talking what is intervention, which is a set of sequence, plan, action, or event intended to help an organization to increase its effectiveness. We purposely describe the status quo or all practices that they are deliberate attempts to change an organization or subunit toward a different and more effective state. So the implementation, a new standard, a new formats, or new rules, or new standard of operation. Okay, next. Okay, this about OD intervention cycle. We start with desire to improve of change. Then next we investigate the problem, what needs to change, and we explore the solution and benchmark. And after that, design intervention and result expectation. Then we do the implement the interventions, and for the last we evaluate format, performance and learning. That's what organization development intervention cycle. So on top of that, group process intervention step also includes the communication, members' roles and function, problem solving and decision making, group norms and growth, and lastly about leadership and authority. Now we look at audit intervention strategies which has been practiced by audit practitioner. There are three basic strategies involved, which is number one is behavioral strategies, and secondly structural strategies, and thirdly about technological strategies. Which is under behavioral strategies is about to change attitude and values of the employees or the client, which to create a new behavior, new norms. And under structural strategies is about to structure the change of the structure itself and its design, which is we create a new relationship. Maybe previously the structure organizational structure is about on vertical structure, then we change to horizontal structure. Then they are established new relationship and in sense of change of power. And under technological strategies is about to change the production or methods. So the production line with the introducing or use a new technology, new mechanism in production, then in other way it will lead to create a new processes. And all these three basic strategies will lead to improve the organizational performance, which there are one approach that namely as the organization iceberg approach to organizational development. Okay, next we will look at to an overview of intervention. Like I said before, so under strategies of behavioral, there are type of intervention under individual is about to employee empowerment, process intervention, laboratory learning, and so on. And about on team intervention is about in team building, process intervention, or quality control of the organization. And about intergroup or interconnected between the division is about intergroup development, third-party intervention, or organization mirror on process intervention. Under structural strategies, what the impact on individual is also about employee empowerment, but also focus on job enrichment and stress management. How they accept the organizational change that we bring in. And for team, the structure is also about job enrichment, team building, and role negotiation. Maybe we must take into consideration their feeling, their feedback in build or in create the team building. And last but not least is about under technological strategies is about job design on individual, and quality control and visual team on team. And for intergroup is about to total quality management and also job design in the organization. Okay, it's all about stage 4, and the last stage is about self-renewal, monitor and stabilize. Once action program is implemented, the final step is to monitor the result and stabilize the desired program. Okay, what to assess is next slide is this stage assess the effectiveness of change strategies in attaining stated objective, which the system members need to know the result of change effort in order to determine whether they ought to modify, continue or discontinue the activities. So the system members or the employees and the stakeholder want to know the effect occurred after the implementing the action plans. So secondly is once a problem has been corrected and a change program is implemented and monitored, technique must be planned to make sure the new behavior is stabilized. It's about a stabilized process. And thirdly, the ideal organization development program is create a client system that has been self-renewal capability that can maintain innovation without outside support. This is what empowerment all about. Okay, next. Okay, now we look at to self-renewal, monitor and stabilize. First, we must know or respond quickly on feedback that we receive. Then from the feedback, we can generate and communicate information through feedback to participating members so that they can measure their progress. Okay. Secondly, about stabilize and monitor change, which is to stabilize and monitor the change or desired behavior so that it will be continued. Thirdly, evaluation the OD program result, which involved in decision maker and assessment the level of acceptance. And lastly, it's about terminate of the practitioner and client relationship. Sorry, is about to disengagement of the practitioner helps and a transition to internal resource. This happens when the benchmark used to evaluate change has been achieved and client system seems capable to continuing self-renewal and innovation. That's what I said before, is about empowerment to the employees. And overall process under stage 4 can be evaluated by the evaluation model that has been introduced by Donald Kirkpatrick model. Next one, which have a 6 level that has been appear on the screen. That Kirkpatrick model also has been deliberate or elaborated by Prof. Gideon as well before this, which is a level 1. We want to look about their reaction, so client reaction. And level 2, we supply the information to encourage or to encourage learning. And level 3, we want to look at about the change of behavior. And number 4, we must look at to the business result. And level 5, we talk about our return on investment, which is what the e-value have been result contribute to the organization or individual. And for the last level is a wider contribution. To what extent has the participant long-term potential been increased? So this all from our group, Prof. Gideon and everyone. So maybe with your help, Prof. Gideon, we open for Q&A session. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good job. You've also given some good examples about the OD process. When we talk about the OD process, I think this somehow reinforces what we've been discussing all this while. And it is an opportune time because this is, I suppose, the last class for the first half of the semester. So it is just a revisit about what OD is all about, right? Number one, why organizations need to change, and in the end, I suppose the whole process goes through that program development model, which talks about planning, implementing, and evaluating. I think it covers the whole process of OD. Any particular slides you want? Anyone wants to be further elaborated? They can help you out if they need clarification from the slides before I move on to my own slides later on. Feel free.
No, Prof. They
Yes, please.
presented clearly.
Oh, yeah. Was
Yes, very clear.
very
Yes.
clear. Thank you. Good job.
Sorry,
Congrats.
Prof. and all members. Sorry, I'm so sorry from the bottom of our heart. We apologize for any shortcomings. So sorry, technical problems.
It's all right. the video on the Housing Commission. Is that available on the internet?
YouTube.
It's
Yes,
available on
on
YouTube,
YouTube.
right? Okay, then
PPSA video.
give us the link later, and then I think we can, for those who are interested, can look at it. Anything else? Good job. So let's look at, I think, what I can share with you. Oops, not this. Sorry. Another one. Somehow, wait a minute, what happened? You're getting OD interventions, right? Just a minute. Technical glitch. No one's wrong with. Should have been this. Okay. All right. Just a bit about what we've been discussing. I think this is just a review, and also it works towards our later discussions when we are going to talk about, I suppose, the diagnosis and also the evaluation process later on. We've talked quite a bit about what OD is all about. And I think first and foremost, when we talk about OD, OD is a science-based process. What it means by a science-based process, that it is a systematic process which has its own steps, and it uses proven methods that have been shown to be effective, methods that have been shown to be successful in the past. And this is why it is considered to be a science-based, right? We have empirical evidences that we use from past works that are being used for future references. So it is, number one, systematic, and number two, it is also empirical in that sense, and number three, it is based on past works. So this is why OD is a systematic science-based process, right? So it is not something that you work out by gut feel or something that you feel can work, but it's not yet proven. It works on techniques and also methods and also content that has been shown to be effective in the past. And that is why it is science-based, right? And then the whole idea is to build capacity to change. And change is central to OD, because when we want to have something new, right? When we want to move to a new, I suppose, level of effectiveness, then there has to be change. And that change has to be brought about by some systematic steps, what that we refer to as that scientific based project. And we know that we work on one of the renowned, I suppose, model, which is Lewin's own model, where you actually unfreeze. Unfreezing means that you actually prepare for the change and then introduce the change, and then only you stabilize the change, right? So it is very much a program development model. And I think we talk about that in planning, because that's what unfreezing does. It plans, right? We actually prepare for what we need to do. We determine future or activities that has to be done. We determine learning objectives that has to be achieved. So these are things that we actually plan and think about, because what we need to do is something that is actually logical, something that is rational. And then we implement what we have set out to do, because those are actually the relevant activities that can actually work towards achieving the goals that we have set out to do. And the goals can be many, which we will probably look into as we go along our course, right? And finally, when we talk about the whole process is actually developing and of course improving, right? That's what plan change is all about. You plan to have something better, right? People never plan to have something that is, you don't actually deliberately set out to get something that is worse from what it is now. You always set out to improve. But if it doesn't work, then I suppose there is something wrong. There is something that has been improperly introduced that does not make it work. And that is why evaluation is very important. Evaluation is all about knowing why things happen, right? So we will also be discussing later on what we evaluate and whole purpose of evaluation, right? And reinforcing. Why do we reinforce? Because we need to stabilize. We need people to do or keep doing the things that we want them to do. We don't want them to regress by going back to the old practices. So we reinforce those new practices so people can continue to do the new things that we have set out to do, right? And we have strategies, what we need to do and how we are going to do it. And those strategies work towards achieving the goals that we have set out, right? Structures, we build structures, we build the, I suppose, when you talk the infra and the setup to make sure that it will be able to carry the new ways of doing things so that it can continue to support new changes, right? And these are the structures that are going to be useful, because without the structures, I suppose, then there will be no support, and without support, the new change will not be able to continue. And the processes that we do, right? How the steps, right? And again, those steps are logical, those steps are rational, right? We have to follow certain procedures that have been proven to be useful. And this is what OD is all about, right? And remember, OD seeks to change probably from a structural perspective. It seeks to change from a technological perspective. And above all, it seeks to change from a human perspective. Remember, because people are behind all forms of changes. And we have to continue to focus on people so that change can be brought about successfully. Right? And this is what OD is. We can talk about, for example, system-wide changes. Why? Because the organization is a system in itself, right? And when we talk about systems are based on interdependent elements. And one element is changed, it will affect the other elements within the organization. And that is why we look at OD as a more system or organization-wide effort at bringing about change. Okay. Oops. And we've also talked in the past about OD goals, and all you need to remember is that the ultimate goal of all organization is to survive, meaning that it seeks to continue to exist within the environment that it is set up, that it is established, right? And as we know also, there are many types of organizations. There are profit-oriented organizations, right? There are public service organizations such as the public departments and the civil service. And there are also non-government organizations that have their own goals in working towards improving the environment that they operate, right? for example, to ensure that animals get treated well, to ensure that the environment remains clean, right? To ensure that people do not live in poverty, to ensure that medical assistance is available. And these are the works of the NGOs. They are also organizations. And in a way, they also need to continue to survive so that they can continue to operate and provide the services that they sought to provide in the beginning. That is determined in their charter or in their goals, right? So whether it is a profit-oriented organization which seeks to increase profits or profit margins or gaining market share, right? Or whether it is a government organization or public organization that seeks to provide service and to support the government projects, or whether it is a non-government organization that has its own goals at improving the environment, improving the people and community and society that they serve, right? So we have all sorts of organizations, and they all seek to continue to survive. They seek to continue to exist within the environment. So the whole point of OD to me is to remain relevant, that they continue to be able to provide the services and achieve the goals that they have set out to achieve, right? And to do that, relevance is very important. Relevance meaning that people will continue to receive what the organization sought to provide in the beginning. If it is, for example, to provide products, then continues to buy products. And the products that they produce continue to be useful to the people, right? So these are the things that we look at. And of course, all organizations exist within an environment that is dynamic, that keeps on changing. And these environments actually influence the organization, right? And they have to be able to adapt to these changes within the environment itself so that they can actually respond better to what they need to do. And this is what OD is all about, right? When we talk about the goals of organization and why we have OD, right? So we need to connect always, right? When we talk about organization development, then we are talking about change. What kind of change? Planned change. It is something that is deliberate, something that we set out intentionally to do so that we can achieve the desired results that we work towards, right? So these are the things that always, when we talk about organization development, that revolves around organization development and organization change, right? So we have gone through this thoroughly, and this is something that we need to continue to remember. When people talk about organization development, the first thing that comes to mind would probably be change, right? And when we talk about change, we talk about changing for the better. And when we talk about changing for the better, then we talk about planned change, something that is deliberate. And when people ask, why do we need to change? We need to remain relevant. And why do we need to remain relevant? We need to remain relevant so that we can continue to survive within the environment. We can continue to provide the services and also achieve the goals that we set out to do, right? So this is the whole essence about organization development, right? And we've talked about the OD model, right? Anticipating need for change. I think the group has done this, has gone through this quite thoroughly. So remember, anticipating the need for change, that means it is something that is more proactive, right? So preferably, and not always, we must remember that, preferably organization development is more anticipating, is more proactive rather than reactive. Although sometimes there are things that we have to react to, there are things that we have to respond to, right? Not many organizations anticipated the emergence of COVID-19. And I think a lot of organizations were not prepared for it, right? I don't know if we can find an organization out there that we can do a case study that has already predicted the emergence of COVID-19 and has already made plans on how they want to respond to the pandemic. I don't believe there are any, right? But the difference is probably those who can react fast. People, those organizations that respond much more efficiently, much more effectively are those organizations that are better off during these times, right? So anticipating a need for change, yes, that would be the best way to look at OD, but not always possible because we as human beings are not able to predict what is going to happen in the future correctly all the time. We are not 100% sure of what is going to happen, right? Although there are some organizations that are better prepared for these type of changes, right? So when we anticipate or when we want to respond to a change, then in this case here, when we develop a consultant and client ratio, we assume that there is a change agent, right? Which we term as a consultant. It could be an internal consultant or it could be an external consultant. So at this stage, at stage number 2 is where we actually set up the terms of reference, or what we normally call the TOR, right? Terms of reference, or TOR, right? We determine what needs to be done by the consultant and what is the responsibility of the organization. What is the organization going to expect? So the expectations of the organizations, and also what it needs to provide to the consultant in order for the work to be done accordingly, in order for terms of reference to be fulfilled, right? And then a very important process or a very important step in organization development is the diagnosis, right? Why diagnosis? Because the diagnosis actually pinpoints to the problem, pinpoints the problem and what needs to be done. That is why we have a diagnosis, so that we can have a better informed plan, right? So that we can plan knowing what we need to do and what needs to be done and what needs to be achieved. And that is why we have the diagnosis, because the diagnosis is all about determining what is the actual problem and what can be done in order to sort out or in order to solve the problem. So we'll be discussing about the diagnosis. I think no group has taken up this topic. So I will be presenting the diagnosis later on. It is a very interesting facet of organization development, right? And as a result of our diagnosis, we set out the action plans and strategies and techniques. Or in other words, this is called organization development interventions, right? Interventions are actually efforts that we do, activities that we undertake in order to arrest the current situation, in order to stop what is happening right now and move towards a new, I suppose, level or new way or new process at doing things, right? And this is where interventions come into play. And when we talk about interventions, I suppose there are many types of interventions. It could be at the individual level, it could be at the group level, it could be at the intergroup level, or it could be even at the organization-wide level, right? So those are the things that we'll be discussing later on also, right? So there are things to be considered: structural changes, technological changes, and human changes, and also in terms of the strategies that we are going to be using, whether it is an individual, group, intergroup, or an organization-wide strategy. Okay, so at this stage, this is where we try to lock in the changes that we have brought about, right? So this is a new, this is what change is all about, where we have actually achieved a new level of doing things, a new way of looking at things, right? So this is probably a new perspective, and we want that new change, to remain and be continually practiced by everyone within the organization, so that that change can be actually institutionalized in the organization, that can be put and as an integrated system within the organization itself, right? But we must remember that change, right, this is not entirely forever, right? Because the environment is changing continuously. So we must continue to look at what we need to do and what we need to achieve in the future. Yes, this probably will be relevant for quite some time, but we must also remember that change will always happen because the environment is dynamic and we may need to change. And then this is where the whole process begins to happen again. So it is a much more of a continuous process in that sense, right? So this, this is another way to look at it. Same thing, but this is a diagnostic model that we look at planning and then what are the business practices that are being conducted presently and what is probably wrong or what is inadequate about the general business practices, right? And then we also look whether there is enough fund, there are enough funds to make sure.
Doctor cannot see the slide.
Oh,
Sorry.
cannot see the slide?
Only the ODE process slide.
Yeah, Prof.
Okay, let's see now. Why? You cannot see
You
the
just
slide?
can see the OD process only.
I think you should close the previous slide.
What's the previous slide? Okay, let's see. There are slides before this. Okay, let's stop share. What? Now you don't see anything, right?
No.
Yeah, Prof. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Let's do this again. You see something? Nothing?
Yes.
Yes? You
Yes,
see the
The
manager?
ODE process.
Yes,
OD process.
The first
Yeah.
slide.
just the first slide.
So you can see this, right?
Yes, I can see. We can see
Yes,
that.
yes.
Okay, because this
OD
was why I was,
process.
I don't know what was, how it was interrupted. So right now it's clear, right? I was
The
talking
ODE process.
Only the first slide, Prof.
First slide.
We
Only
can
the
see.
first
ODE
slide?
process.
Oh, it
Yes.
doesn't shift?
Yes.
Ah,
No.
okay, let's see now. I have to go back. Okay, take a rest for a while. Let me just have a look at this. Looks like there's a glitch. Can you see the changes?
Yes.
Yes,
Doctor.
Is better now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. So this you can see? Can you
Yes.
see
Yes.
Prof.
managerial
Can.
consulting diagnostic process? This one you can
Yeah.
see, now, right?
Yes, absolutely can.
Okay, good. Hopefully, because I can see, maybe it wasn't, well, never mind. So I was talking just now about the Were you able to see the slide just now? Also, this slide you didn't see. No, right? Okay, I was explaining about this just now. And so all this you didn't actually see. This one also you did
Yeah,
not.
Prof.
Okay.
No, but we understand. Don't
Okay,
worry.
but you understand, so it should be okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this was the OD model, and then we got onto the manager consulting diagnostic model. So talking about finance just now. So making sure that there's enough funds to ensure that the organization is able to operate as it should be operating, right? And then, of course, when we talk about business model, we talk about advertising and promotion, right? So these are probably the 5 P's of looking into business model, because looking into products. So this is much more of a business approach, right? So market research and also personnel. But, you know, things like market research, advertising and promotion, finance, general business practices are all also, I think, relevant to all organizations, right? All organizations have planning. All organizations has a way of operating, which probably is what the general business practice is all about, right? When we talk about educational institution, we have our own practices, right? Our practice, how we teach, how we ensure that students get graded, how we ensure that students pass their examinations, how we ensure that research gets done. So these are actually the general business practices. And for the business practices to be able to be done, then you need the funds, and we must make sure that the funds are available, right? And then there's always the advertising and promotion, because this is how the organization gets to be known, right? And if we look at, for example, how UPM gets to be number 59, right? Number one, it must be known within the educational, higher education industry, right? How, what's the word? How much it is seen. I forgot the word. How, to what extent that the organization is seen. That's a word that I forgot, right? But basically, UPM is known to be a university that is able.
Can hear you, Doctor.
Now you can't hear me.
Putus-putus.
Putus-putus je.
Saya seorang.
Tak apalah. Well, I suppose it's not a good day.
Me too.
Ya ke? Ya, putus-putus macam tu ya.
Hujan kot.
Yeah. I think that's more of an internet issue. Okay. You cannot hear me well now, right?
Now,
Putus-putus ya.
Now,
Oh, now okay.
It's okay now. It's okay.
Tak putus-putus lah. It's not breaking up. All right.
okay.
Okay. The word is visibility. Thank you. So universities like UPM need to be visible, right? They need to be seen by other universities, so that other universities know that UPM is actually a university that is doing what it is supposed to do. So visibility is where advertising and promotions come into play. Market research, basically knowing what to do, right? Because you are actually selling, and UPM is also selling its product. Why is it selling? Basically, when you talk about UPM or universities in general, you talk about the core business. What is the core business of universities? The core business of universities is knowledge, right? So when we talk about knowledge, right, we talk about, for example, the frontiers of knowledge, and that's where research comes in. We talk about, for example, the dissemination of knowledge. That's where teaching and learning and also public service comes in. And all these are actually part of the university's market, determining who is going to be able to use the knowledge that it produces. Because the core business, what it does, all falls back to knowledge, right? And also we look at the personnel to be able to fulfill all the functions that the university sets out to do. So the same thing for business organization. You need the personnel to make sure that they are able to operate entirely on what they need to do. So this consulting diagnostic process, when you want to diagnose an organization, these are the things that you may want to look into. Whether the organization has adequate resources in all these areas, or whether it is doing enough within these areas. All right. So this is probably a consulting or diagnostic model that you could use in order to determine where an organization is now. What is the status of the organization, right? And then when you talk about success of change, I suppose these are the things that are considered to contribute towards success of change. In research, you probably say these are the factors that explains the variance in the success of change or change success. So these are the factors that actually contribute towards success. And there have been research to show, for example, to what extent each of these factors have contributed to the success of change. And again, we must remember that different environment has different factors or importance of factors that contribute towards the success, right? But when you talk, for example, about advocates of change, these are the people that, sorry, these are the people that actually are the champions of change, people who actually are working towards the change. So the change agents themselves are, for example, contributory factors towards the success of change, right? The degree of change also determines the success, because the higher the degree of change, the bigger the change, the more difficult it is to achieve success, right? So that is why, for example, there is Kaizen, there are small improvements, because those are the types of things that the Japanese, for example, believe that change comes in small steps, right? You work or you change have small improvements that later work towards big change. Simply because the bigger the change, the more difficult it is to achieve success. In terms of time frame, when you want to change in a shorter period of time, then it is more difficult to achieve success. Because we must always remember that change requires time, right? So the more time given towards change, then the higher likelihood that the change will succeed. Remember, there is the curve, the bell curve, or what we call the normal curve, right? So if the normal curve is longer, then there is a bigger chance that people will have more time to adapt and more time to adopt to changes. And that is why when we talk about change, the longer the time given to people to change, the more likely that people will adopt the change, right? Culture, like I said, a very important facet of change, because when people have a strong belief, culture is all about an underlying assumptions about things, right? When there is a very strong belief that things work and things should not change, then there is a possibility that it is much more difficult to change. So organizations with stronger culture may have more difficulty at changing, because people are already set on the ways that they do the things, right? And finally, there's the evaluation of change, because evaluation simply provides that feedback on what works and what doesn't work, right? Evaluation tells the people on what things need to be done. So evaluation provides the data and information on what works and what needs to be done. So these are probably the 5 forces that are the biggest contributors to the success of change, right? And this is just a normal, I think you have also presented this and how we look up this. So the entry is where the consultant comes in and the startup, and this is where the diagnosis begins, and there is where the planning begins. And planning usually depend on the feedback, right? From the top management in particular, whether the action that is being planned is the right thing to be done, right? So there is a lot of feedback that is required before we can actually plan, or when we can actually implement the action. What needs to be done, and also implementing what we have actually planned. So feedback is a very important part of organization development, right? And then, of course, during the implementation, right, whether we want to do at the individual level, team level, or group level, or whether it is going to be a process change, or whether it is going to be a big change, a global change on how the organization actually responds to the environment, or whether it is going to be an organization-wide change, which we'll be discussing later on when we talk about interventions. Now, of course, there's the evaluation. Evaluation simply meaning that we need to find out what works and what doesn't work, and whether we have actually achieved what we set out to do, right? So adoption is actually the part where people actually institutionalize the change, where change is actually stabilized. And there is, and there is the, of course, the separation part, where the change agent actually separate or remove himself or herself from the change, not from the organization, but from the change itself. So if they, for example, implement ISO 9000, so this is where they actually work towards institutionalizing or integrating ISO 9000 into the organization. And after that, they need to be able to separate themselves from ISO 9000, right? So the same thing goes for any change. The change agent will separate himself or herself from the change, but not from the organization, right? So when we talk about the consultant, these are probably the skills that are required of the consultants, right? One, there is a personal skill, the ability to sell oneself, the ability to be able to, to basically to have that soft, basically to have soft skills, right? So this is very important in the consultant, because this is where the consultant sells himself or herself. Leadership skill, basically to be able to lead changes, to make good decisions, and to be able to convince people to accept and also sell and buy the ideas, right? Project management skills simply is about ensuring that the change process and the requirements that are the resources needed for a change are available, right? Communication skill, again, very important, like we say, because in all change processes, you need to communicate, to be able to have, to share the reasons why it need to change, how the change will be affected. So communicating the change is always very important. Problem solving skills is when problems arises, when there are, for example, resistance, how you're going to tackle and arrest resistance, for example. Whenever there is, for example, a mismatch in skills and or mismatch in competence of the people who want to change, then you actually solve the problem. So problem solving is about troubleshooting, right? Interpersonal skills, again, to be able to relate to other people, right? You need to have empathy, you need to be able to have that social skill, how to deal with people from the top, how to deal with people from the bottom. So this is all about, again, interpersonal skill, being able to be accepted by other people. So these, if anyone is interested to be a consultant, you must have this. I think something that is not here, probably that research skill, right? The ability to determine what data needs to be collected, how to collect the data, how to analyze the data, and how to interpret the data, and later on how to share the findings that you have. So something that is missing here is that research skill, okay? Or the systematic inquiry skills. Okay, I think this is just another way of looking at things, the same thing, like where we talk about diagnosis, and this is action research, where we actually have a diagnosis and we plan, implement the plan, and then gathering data here is for purpose of for the purpose of evaluation, right? Analyze results, where you actually do the evaluation and interpretation, and then provide feedback on what has happened and whether you have actually achieved what you set out to achieve, right? Again, the OD process, simple, right? What we look at, for example, consultant, their role, the things that they need to do, so data gathering and diagnosis, right? All this is actually in this model to look at what is the gap, right? Between what is and what should be, where we are now and where we should be operating. If, for example, we should be operating at a higher level, then what is that level? If we are producing, for example, 1,000 units now, and the industry says benchmarking, we should be producing 1,200, that is the gap of producing that 200 extra units, right? And to be able to produce that 200 extra units, you need to determine whether it is going to be a structural type of change, technical type of change that is needed, or whether you want to look into the human aspect of change, for example, competency, for example, in attitude, for example, in abilities, right? So these are actually the strategies or the strategy, part of the strategies that you are going to look at, right? And that brings about the change process and a technique that you're going to use in bringing about the change. And this is where you actually get the results of the process, right? And I suppose these are the things that we will talk. I think the group has also referred a bit to this, and we will be discussing this much more in detail because we are talking about, for example, team or group development. And what's not here is probably OD intervention is that individual level, group level, team level, intergroup develop, the system-wide, and also when you talk about organization transformation, which is much more of a large scale type of change. I suppose that's about it in terms of reviewing or revisiting what we have been discussing in the first part of this round and what we'll be doing in the second part of our course. All right? So we will have a 1 week break after this, right? And then after the break, we are going to have a presentation from which group is going to be the next? Week 8, we'll be looking at organization life cycles. Interesting because we assume that organizations are just like human beings. They are born, they grow up, they reach maturity, and there is a possibility that they will die. But in terms of organization development, we have ways into preventing the organization from dying. Remember, the organization needs to continue to survive. So for week 8, Faizatul, Noraini, and Jamalia, right? We are going to be presenting about organization life cycle. All right.
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, Doctor.
Are you submitting the assignment this week or when you come back? Or you want to do the assignment during the 1 week break? Suddenly there's silence. Can you hear me?
Yes, can.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, I was right.
Can it be during? Can it be during the
during
semester
the break?
term break?
Okay.
Yes,
You want
after
to,
the break.
sure, no problem. For me, it is important. Time is not important because what I want is good product, right? A good assignment. So send it to me after the break, right? So Monday, after the break is next week. Let's have a look at the calendar.
Day 14, Prof.
14,
14
right?
December.
When you come back, all right? So just send it to my email, right? At kiden.upm.edu.my, and I will be able to look at your assignments and grade it then. Okay then?
We also can send before 14, right, Prof?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Just asking, but not belum siap lagi.
In fact, I'll be accepting assignments from now.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay?
Dr. Kim, this one for first assignment, is it?
Yeah.
Individual
Doctor,
assignment.
do you mean the both assignment 1 and assignment 2?
Yeah, the assignment 1. Talking about the organization and its environment. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So have that. Good luck with the assignment. This is just a warm-up assignment for you to be able to do. It carries 10% of the total mark. So don't get too anxious or too stressed out during the assignment. You have lots of time. Take your time, relax, and do it. Okay?
Doctor, I
Anything else?
wanted to ask.
Yes.
Yes, Doctor. If we send the assignment now, will you go through it and pass us if there's any corrections or something, or is it finalized?
I can take a look at it, review it, and also suggest, since it's still before the deadline, I think I can give you. You still have the times to improve it. So I will look at it, and then you can improve it.
All right, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, good. Anything else?
Doctor, another one. When is the assignment 2 submission?
Assignment 2 submission, up to you.
Okay.
What's important to me is that I have assignments 1, 2, and 3, and then the exam marks, right? So that's all I want. I really don't put the time or the deadline, definitely, because the deadline, you see, for this is just to help you out, so that at the end of the semester you will not be bogged down by too many assignments, right? So just to help you out, phase out yourself. Send your assignments after the semester break. Right? For me, actually, it doesn't matter. I go through assignments all the time, so no problem. So when do you want to submit assignment 2? Okay, we'll discuss that after the break. Okay?
Okay, Doctor.
All right. Like I said,
Still can negotiate, Doctor.
don't be too anxious about all this. Don't be too stressed out. I want you to be able to learn.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay?
Doctor, for your understanding.
All right. Have a good break. Have a good break. And stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. You too.
Thank you, Doctor.
Same to you.
Bye. Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Doctor, can you share the slide?
Oh, yes. I will put it up. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, I'm going to end it. Bye. Take care.
Goodbye.